We last spoke a few years ago when times were different, but obviously the pandemic has in fact been good for your business. Talk about the trends that you're seeing in use.
So, tragically so, the pandemic is very good for the core of what we provide, which is cloud-based communications. What you're finding in the pandemic is two trends that are happening. One is remote work, and the other is remotely delivered services. Think like you're no longer going to go to your doctor or your school, and so you see this massive growth in telehealth, distance learning, remote fitness, and the like. We concentrate on both of those because as a cloud communications provider, as companies sent everyone home, they now are equally productive at home on their communication systems as they were formerly in the office. And we also power all these various remotely delivered services.
So that leads to the question, how does your business fare when we come out of the pandemic? Especially, you've got the president talking about reopening the economy, trying to convince more states to do so. If people return to work, what does that mean for Vonage?
So it's actually very good for Vonage. We posted an excellent Q1 and gave guidance for the year, which again reflected itself in a healthy stock price appreciation today. These trends about remote work or around remotely delivered services, in our view, are permanent. It doesn't mean people are not going to go back to the office, but in many more numbers, you're going to find companies accepting, if not encouraging, virtualized work environments. And it's not like people aren't going to go back to the doctor, but you're going to see telehealth and the convenience of it, which was already a trend pre-COVID, is going to continue to be a major trend thereafter. This really is a pivot point, in my view, within the communication space where these cloud-based solutions are really going to be the norm more versus the premise-based solutions that have existed for decades.
Your telemedicine business has seen a 2,000% increase in video demand, an 800% increase in video demand overall. I can understand that a lot of these behaviors will remain, but the question is how much. Does it mean that for you the benefit is somewhere in the middle?
Well, it's going to create a permanent shift. And so just take one example, telehealth, it clearly was a trend in the past. Now, at this moment, it's everything in terms of how we go see the doctor. It clearly, as we get past COVID, won't be all the ways in which people go see the doctor, but it's now becoming much more in an accepted way of being treated or diagnosed by a physician. And it's going to have more broad-based appeal. So while you see this immediate spike right now, what we expect is you're going to see this permanent shift across a larger base, which is going to be a net benefit. You're going to see the same net benefit, in our view, in the remote work notion. When offices open, at some point, most people will go back to the office. But I think we've all learned a great deal, particularly knowledge workers, about our ability to be productive virtually. And so I think you're going to see far less concentration in office and much more support for more fully virtualized environment. Cloud communications is key to drive that.
Speaking of that, Facebook now telling employees they can work from home through the end of the year. They don't expect to reopen offices until at least early July. What's your plan for returning your employees to work? And do you see, for your own company, a return to a more hybrid form of work?
I think it is clearly going to be more of a hybrid. Now, we are a very global company now. We're 25 offices globally, literally throughout the world. The situations are different based upon the status of the pandemic in various areas of the world versus where they may be in Europe or in the United States. As we begin to open the offices, we have been very, very careful about making sure that we not only protect the physical health of our employees, but their emotional health as well. So to the extent that they're uncomfortable coming back to the office, they can continue to take their jobs from home. So the whole approach is going to be more of a hybrid than in the past, where many companies really were, sort of tough about everyone being in the office for those 8 hours a day. In our view, what's interesting about this is what we're going to find is employees are going to demand it, not just in our company, but throughout the world, because today it's working. Video interactions are just becoming a part of our everyday life right now. We're going to get accustomed to it. And so Vonage is a talent-driven organization. We compete against the major technology companies throughout the world. If those people demand and want to work in a more virtualized environment, well, we're going to have to accommodate that. We're going to want to accommodate that because we want to culturally create an environment that attracts the best talent to the organization.